So, good afternoon, ladies and gents, and welcome back to New Media Literacy. I'm hoping that you're doing fine and that you were looking forward to the next class. Last week was definitely a fun one, in my opinion, because we were talking about social changes, if you remember that. We mentioned a few, like bedroom culture, the system of home office, which changed the work landscape a lot, and we mentioned being watched, the panopticon theory, and we also mentioned being entertained in this new world, how migration and the classical means of migration has been supported by new media, and we are more brave to move around in the world because we know that we've got the internet to keep in touch with our family. And so we actually addressed a bunch of very important social changes. And today's class is definitely not going to be as much fun, unfortunately. We need to go into a little bit of history and a little bit of conceptualization, but I promise you that we will still have a bunch of very fun lectures, so I'm preparing myself already and I'm preparing the materials already, I promise you. This one might be a little bit more dry, but you know, it's always this way, that we're fleshing up some super fancy things, and it turns out that in reality, it's all gonna be history. I'm sorry about that, but let's jump right into it, and I'm trying to make it as fun as possible, just like yesterday with the media class. So I wanted to let you know of the media revolution and how the media keeps on altering and changing throughout history, ladies and gents. And so I wanted to take the example of Elisabeth Louis Le Brun. I'm not sure if you have heard of her. She was a celebrated French painter, a very talented one of her age, and she was a very much beloved artist of the aristocracy. Everybody was falling for her very much. And she came up with a self-portrait in 1787 in Paris for the Paris Salon exhibition, which was an absolute scandal. Now, what do you think happened? Not much in the 1700s, of course. This event was organized every 2 years. It was a huge, the standard taste-creating events for the Parisian and European art. So it was very, very prominent. I'm not sure what would be a very similar event for this one. Maybe Fashion Week or Paris Fashion Week this time, or something art-related. Let me know what you think would be a very similar event to this one. But it was huge, and it was definitely creating the social taste of people and of societies in general. Now, what she did was scandalous, and nothing much happened. I'm just kind of pulling your nerves, but actually it's really boring. Let's have a look. Oh, it doesn't work. Now it works. So her self-portrait was unique because she was showing her teeth, and that's all that happened, really. The painting was considered outrageous for this reason, and according to historian Colin Jones, it initiated the revolution of the smile. This might be within the media, and this might be quite an exciting and an interesting point of view, because she smiles with an open mouth so that her teeth can be seen, and it was the first time that a female or a male, anyone but her in this case, because it was not at all a thing to be portraying people with an open mouth. And it was the first time that a human would be portrayed that way. And at that time, the representation of teeth and of the smile was rather unusual and scandalous, because smiling with an open mouth was considered as bad manners. They thought that anyone who is smiling is unintelligent. It's a common behavior. It's not a high-class behavior whatsoever. They're kind of trying to get to the bottom of this. Why? I'm thinking, first of all, it's also stated in the statement that it also revealed very bad teeth. Back in the day, it was typical of that age. They were also saying it about Queen Elizabeth. Sissi, Austrian Queen, right? Yeah, a princess at the beginning, queen later. That her teeth were also really, really bad. And so, later on, it happened to a lot of people as well, and that's why it was not portrayed. On top of that, it also conveys aggression at some point, and for some reason, it was also kind of associated with bad manners and unintelligent behavior. So that was not very, not very welcome. And that's what they said, and as an outraged journalist, back in the day, they put it that the expression of emotion that artists, fans of art, and people with good taste generally condemn, and which is not found any precedent for amongst the classics, is how Madame Vigier-Lebrun, her smile shows her teeth. Such manifestation in a mother's case is particularly inappropriate. So I'm not sure what's going on, but it was definitely not good manners at the time. And nowadays, ladies and gents, what is going on? This, right? So this is the revolution. This is like Madame Lebrun's revolution, her smiles revolution that led to Julia Roberts and Cameron Diaz's wonderful full-on laughs or smiles. And nowadays on Instagram as well, I tend to notice a tendency, I'm not sure if you've noticed it, many people are doing these very much artificial, fake teeth, which are like, I'm not sure they're all like very, very beautiful and very like large and wide teeth that they're having, and it's definitely like a retainer or something, on. And everybody keeps on showing their teeth left, right, and center because now it's super in, And the exceptionally talented painter, Madame Lebrun, launched a media revolution and a change of culture in here because ever since her first appearance of her smile created this and led to this, that now it is absolutely accepted and people started like copying it and mocking it and then doing it, and then in the end now we are smiling with full-on teeth, if we're proud of our teeth, of course, in our pictures. So this led to that. It's a kind of a media revolution, if you will. And this story conceals a culture as well. It questions the culture in which there is an incomprehensibility and an ideology and a taste and susceptibility, like how you think that certain things are normal and certain things are not normal. And it describes when a medium and a man, or medium and a human meet, and media literacy attempts to interpret these kind of intersections. I'm wondering if you could give me any more examples, ladies and gents, in which there was a brave kind of a change, and then, or a brave kind of a manifestation, and then the media picked up on it, and it started to cultivate it, and it started to create a new media revolution. I'm sorry, I'm just having messages in Teams, and it's just clicking right in. Sorry about that. So I'm curious if you can give us any more of them. Let's have a look. The media revolution, and in this light, we have to kind of consider the three most important goals of media literacy, because media literacy is also trying to understand these processes, how the media changes due to human effects or human interventions as well. There are three very important goals of media literacy, yes. One of them is that the media is a culture-shaping, reflecting and reciting form, very importantly. So the media is not going to leave culture untouched. As such, it is not a technological issue. So, media literacy is in a sense technological, because we need to understand how we had at the beginning computers which were as big as my living room, and then now we've got it in a very small device like this. It's rather big, but very small device. It could be handling that as well. And it's put into such a small little device, and it's a technological side as well. But we will not focus on that one because we're not technological experts. You do not need to plan a telephone. You do not need to understand how the technology works behind it. It's not what we are doing in this course, because we will mention the technological changes, but it's not what we are here for. We are not learning engineering and robotization. We are learning media, communication, and culture, so that's going to be our focus. If you wanted to learn that, that's also fantastic, but I'm definitely not the right person to teach you that, because I'm happy if I can switch my laptop on. The media as a culture of cultivation is a part of the humanities, so it's a humanity relating subject. And the most important task regarding the media is to bring technology back to the society, culture, and human relationships where it belongs. Because the media itself, it's somewhat shifted into art subjects and number-based numeric subjects, really, because of the engineering behind it. But all in all, we have to see that it's still a humanity, culture shaping and human life shaping technological approach to it. Now, I also wanted to let you know that in order to understand the importance of the refrigerator, how it has created a revolution in eating really, and storing food and shopping, and how we can like take a bunch of dairy and stuff like that and put it in the fridge, and then we don't have to think about how it will survive. As in back in the days when my mom used to tell me they would put a bunch of salt onto their meat and then try and put like ice around it as much as possible, but when they didn't have ice, then they didn't do anything around it, and they were trying to eat meat as much as possible and just freshly eat it because storage was not an issue really. Now it created, we don't have to understand the technological like structure behind it, how to put together a fridge. We don't care about it. We care about what it did to our culture and way of consumption and our cultural ways, really. In order to reveal, that's what Postman said, in order to reveal its social and political impacts, we do not even need to know the physics of television. So new media literacy will not focus on how the TV is put together from microchips. Maybe that's a very wrong thing that I said because I have no idea. We will focus on the cultural side of it and how it has changed the landscape and culture and political opinion and a bunch of other things, of course. In this course, we will not learn about technology, we will talk about literacy. What we can do with the media and what the media can do for us or with us. So we're going to talk about cultivation, critical understanding, structural and organizational processes, and a lot of things that I find exciting and that I can add to my course extra because I think it's fun. So the media, second goal of media literacy is that the media is a value system, an ideology and a code at the same time. So in here, the media is a value system. It is going to give you ideological thoughts, political thoughts, cultural thoughts, morals, a lot of things. And our goal in this course, therefore, is to peel off the technical kind of objectivity and innocence of the media. The media is definitely not innocent whatsoever. And to show the media from the most perspectives as best as we can, right? So to see how they are affecting us or how it is affecting us, and it's just more than providing data or sharing messages on channels or just popping up some random advertisements. No, those are not random, and your suggested YouTube videos are not random, and your entertainment habits are not random. It's all intended. The media is there in an intentional form. It's not innocent whatsoever. And it's more than information encoding and decoding because, my face keeps freezing. Attractive. Yeah, so it's just more than that. And goal number 3 of media literacy is going to be that the media can and should be cultivated. By cultivated, we mean that to be practiced and developed and dealt with practically. There are many disputes about what counts as a significant, serious, hard discipline, and majority of times, as we have mentioned it in elocution as well, hard disciplines such as counting, writing, reading, these are going to be like more cultivated, really, more appreciated, whereas soft studies, they're not really, like psychology, or that's a bunch of blah blah blah, or religion, that's also like fake, and this and that and that. It's soft subjects or soft topics are always kind of looked down on, even though they have got a very huge impact and importance, really, and that's very much what I'm trying to kind of make out of that they're super important. And this way, the media is also soft, a soft subject, because it's way too subjective. It cannot be objectified. It cannot be like made objective. By being called soft is kind of problematic in a form, because people don't like soft skills or soft subjects because they are unpredictable. But it's not problematic in a way that it only means that it should and can be formed. So we have to form it according to what we would like to see in the world. And we are all, you and me, are also responsible people of what we share and how we share it and how we actually kind of let our voices be heard. It is also a soft skill and soft subject, new media literacy, because it is an ever-changing discipline. Maybe I'm sharing data with you now, and in a year it's not even right, or it's already outdated, which doesn't really happen in hard disciplines, because Einstein's relativity theory is still just as valid as 100 years ago. So, it's just, was it 100 years ago? Sorry. Some decades ago, sorry. So, still very important that it's a soft skill, soft discipline, and within a year, many media-related substances are not going to be valid, or not even going to be considered, not important, really. For example, Snapchat, think about that one. 2016, Snapchat was the biggest application used by the youth, the most prominent one and the most exciting one. It's nowhere near now. I'm not sure if you're still active on there, or if it still kind of provides you with anything. And why is that? Because Instagram has stolen everything it possibly could from it. So it stole the story function, as well as Facebook, because they bought the two things, and now Instagram and Facebook are the same family. And so they stole this story idea, this 24-hour thing that a story is only live or is only there until then. And Instagram also added a bunch of other things, filters as well, super exciting things. And it's no longer cool. Snapchat, I'm sorry if you still use it and love it, but we have to see it. That statistics shows that it's no longer in. It's not there. So maybe I'm talking to you about how prominent Snapchat is now, and maybe it's not even a thing next year, So it happens a lot with the media. I'm wondering how TikTok will do, really. What do you think? Because now it's really trending. I know I should register to have a look because I'm a media teacher. I still didn't get round to it because I know it's for the younger generation, much younger generation. So like 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds to 22 is the average age there. At least that's what research shows. And I should be having a look at that because I'm teaching it, so it would be good if I knew what I'm talking about. I'm wondering what you think about this function. Why is it so different from the other existing ones like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook? What you think about it? You could help me out a bunch, which would be exciting, and what you think will be the future, because now it's the trending one, and I'm wondering what you think will happen. Yeah, statistics about the media inflate just as quickly as a brand new car. When you buy a brand new car from a salon and you roll out from the salon, it's already losing 10%. So, this is how the media-related information is kind of losing its value as well. So the research frame also consists of various fields as well, soft and hard ones too as well. So soft ones, for example, media philosophy, media psychology, media morals, media aesthetics, media rhetoric, all soft subjects. But it's also consisting of very much hard subjects as well, such as media politics, media law, media economy, relating to subjects, regulations and stuff like that. These are hard studies or hard subjects. And so the media is put together based on these two things, soft and hard disciplines as well. It's very difficult to perceive it holistically and in large. Okay, now how did we get there? How did we get to today's society, which is also called a bunch of things? Okay, so we used to call the 20th century as the information society, because they say that, and also the 21st century as well, an information society, knowledge society, before all that, a network society. So it does have a bunch of names. Nowadays, I think the information is not so valuable, not as valuable as it is. So, imagine this. Back in the days of feudalism, the main value was the land. If you had a land, of course, gold was always in. If you had a lot of gold, that's good. But feudalism was all about the land, right? If you had that, you were a prominent person. Then in the 20th century, if you could get information, you were the cool guy. Then later on, they said it was a network society. Those people who had a social network or any kind of a network, those were the valuable, prominent people. Nowadays, they say that knowledge, we call it knowledge society because information is no longer a niche. The bigger issue is to kind of filter the information, because there is so much of it now that it's no longer a thing to be searching for information and to be, trying to find information. Now it's hard to filter the information because it's too much of it. So they started calling us a knowledge society, because now knowledge, mainly soft skills, is going to be the most important one. And lately, in the past 3, 4, 5 years, they started calling us that our cultural capital has also changed. Once again, it's no longer our biggest capital, is no longer the field or gold, money is always in, or information or network. Nowadays, they say that the biggest human capital is going to be attention. So we are called an attention society as well. That, if you can get the attention of the people, you are going to be the best one. Because before all that, there was only one shoemaker, and if you wore those shoes, you were fine. If you didn't, then you were nothing, because you wore absolutely nothing, because there was no other alternative, So nowadays, you've got a bunch of brands. You've got 3 billion YouTubers, and in order to grab your attention and keep it, that's going to be the big issue nowadays. So we live in an attention society nowadays. But let's have a look. Information society, knowledge, attention, whatever we call our society now, because it keeps changing in literature continuously. See, this is how the media keeps on losing its value, because sometimes we come up with a huge revolution that, oh wow, this is the information society. It's not even called like that anymore. So still, let's have a look at our history. How we got here, right? Now, when we say that somebody lives in the knowledge or information society, so many people believe that there is a misunderstanding here, that it's the distant future when we are traveling by flying cars. And so many people say that we are in a transition to these information and knowledge-based societies. And some people imagine this for the 19th century, because that's when information started to spread easier, because people became more literate. Still no. And some people suggest that information and knowledge have always played an important role in history, because if you didn't know that fire would burn you, then you couldn't function in a society because you would die or something, right? So the question arises, can't we call every single society an information society? And the answer is no, we can't. So this is a nice approach. I think that information was important in every single society, but not every society was an information society or a knowledge society at all. We can't call every society an information society, because communication, reception, treatment, storage, interpretation, and the flow of information have not defined any previous societies as much as ours. We do rely on information, we do filter them, we do take knowledge of them, and we pay attention to them. So that is really important, that only our society, the 21st century society, can actually be considered a pure information, attention, and knowledge-based society, not every other ones. Of course, knowledge was important in every society, and information too, but not in a way that it defines our society now. Okay, I would like to recommend or offer you a very important order in which you can differentiate between 3 huge periods. It's coming from Alvin Toffler. You will have to remember names as well, I'm sorry about that, but it would be good. There will be 3 names, so don't worry about it. Agricultural society, that's it, which transformed into an industrial society, which also transformed into an information society. It took me 3 hours to take it into this form, which is not visible for you. What? Okay, I was working on this so hard. With my technological skills, it's a lot to kind of put them into these fancy, whatever, not straight lines, so I hope you appreciate it, but at least you can see it better. Agricultural, industrial, and information societies. This is what was sweeping through these 3 big eras or periods throughout history, right? Okay, Daniel Bell, another name which is important to remember, suggested that the strategic resources of the transition from an industrial to an information society will be most likely information and theoretical knowledge. So this is how you can shift from one era to another one, that the whole form of consumption changes. Okay, that's very, very important. And so a couple of years later, Bell already called us an information society, and the definition comes as well from him: a type of a society that is organized around knowledge in order to manage social control, change, and innovation. This is what we are all about now, okay? Social control, political control, change, because we need to be flexible. It's an ever-changing world that we're living in. And innovation, a lot of technological innovation, which is having a huge impact on culture, such as the television did on us, or the refrigerator did on our consumption, or Madame Lebrun's smiling image on the media revolution, for example. So this is what we mean. And so, I don't like this really. Alvin Toffler, he said that we've got the agricultural, industrial, and information societies. Bell came up with the same thing, exact same thing. He just named it differently. I guess he earned a bunch of money for this, but he came up with the same three things, but he just called them the pre-industrial, industrial, and post-industrial societies. It's not very, very creative, to be fair with you. The exact same thing as Alvin Toffler's theory. He just doesn't call them agricultural, industrial, and information. He calls them pre-industrial, industrial, and post-industrial. Whatever, okay. So they believed, Alvin Toffler and Daniel Bell, who were big society researchers or social science researchers, that these things will change in these three periods. What are the main important characteristics that will change from each era? Form of production, of course, sectors of economy, resources of change, strategic resources, technology, knowledge, methodology, what methods we are having, planning, guiding principle. Now, another extra 3 hours were spent on putting this one together, which is also not visible, but I promised you that I would upload my slides for you, and I'm definitely not going to give you the whole bunch now because it would just be too much and too hard to process. So just for the exam, if you take a look, it's very understandable. But let me tell you what I mean. You can see, it says pre-industrial, industrial, post-industrial societies. What's that, vertically? Which is the same as the agricultural, industrial, and information societies. And you can see also vertically the different factors that changed: form of production, sectors of economy, stuff like that. Now, of course, they changed a lot. If you look at, for example, the pre-industrial societies, as for the sectors of economy, before all that, in the agricultural pre-industrial societies, people lived on agriculture, fishing, mining, woodcutting, oil, gas, and all kinds of exploitation, right? Then later on in the industrial society, the sectors of economy changed a lot, such as manufacturing, durable goods, very importantly, non-durable goods, constructions, transportations, and all that jazz was coming along. All the big machines and the gas train. God, my vocabulary in English, sorry about that. So all the big industrial machines were kind of created and done, and things started to become industrialized. And this is how, if there was one shoemaker who was sewing the shoes together by hand, they were coming into an end, their functioning, and they needed to go into this machinization. So the sector of economy changed a lot. And in the post-industrial societies, we've got a lot like healthcare, education, research, trading, finances. So the whole sectors of the economy changed throughout these three periods. Of course, technology has changed as well. For example, in the agricultural or pre-industrial era, they had craft and handicraft. Everything was handmade. In the industrial society, it was machine technology. Everything was machine-made. And there was this Ford, this thing where, where the products were put on top of that, and they were just multiple, they were producing in huge amounts. Okay, Sorry, I will need to look up words for myself. And then technology is kind of turning into an intellectual technology this time in our period in the 21st century, which is much different from the old versions as well. Now, knowledge has changed majorly. In the pre-industrial or agricultural societies, it was craftsmen, laborers, farmers living off agriculture, really. Then in the industrial societies, it was engineers, skilled workers who were kind of the main knowledge bearers, really. And in the post-industrial societies, who are the most prominent people? Scientists, technical and professional occupations, mainly mental work. This is what we cultivate at the moment the most. So it changed a lot. Yeah. Planning. Now, planning has changed majorly as well. If you look at that, in the pre-industrial or agricultural societies, planning was not a thing. It was games against nature. So it was a huge draft or like a huge like it was raining cats and dogs for 3 months and your whole field was rotten and everything was not usable anymore, or you had a bunch of insects going along on your field and you were unable to use your fruits or vegetables. It was games against nature, really. Now, industrial societies, they had games against the man-made or artificial future. So if I create a plane, does it stay in the sky or can it land properly? Or if I create a gas train, would it work properly? Would it work really well? And then in the post-industrial societies, nowadays we've got games between people. So it's very typical that people are, we are having these competitive behaviors. Nowadays, it's always been that way, but nowadays, especially because we've got very few resources and we are kind of having games between each other in order to kind of, get into the best jobs, coming first. Nowadays, everybody, even the leg of the table, has got a university degree because now everybody is like, university is trending. So many people do a university degree just because their parents believe that it's useful. They're not motivated. So many people are just gaining degrees not because they want to or not because they would like to kind of go into that field, but because this is what is valuable nowadays. My sister, she's a lawyer, and she did have a colleague, a student colleague at the university, at Aalto University, and she had never been interested in law whatsoever. She has always found it really dry and not good. But her parents were lawyers and they really pushed her to do it. She did it, and afterwards she became a hairdresser because that's what she wanted to be, So nowadays it's like games between people that what is valuable now, how you have to act, how you have to, do your things. Practically, I think, it's very much enough for us for today. Maybe this last thought really. Manuel Castells, he's also an important name to remember, that the information society is a very new method of human coexistence in which the production, storage, processing and recalling of organized information is much different, and our behavior is different in this society as well. And I'm curious what you think, how our mentality as humans, we have mentioned a bunch of social changes, but our attitude as information society humans, how it is different from the attitudes from the agricultural society and the industrial ones, because our attitudes has changed a lot, and as an individual as well as a collective society. And I'm curious what you think about it, and we will talk about it in a second in Teams. I will stop rambling on everything now, and thank you so much for your attention, and see you in Teams in a second. Bye bye.